Somewhere by Colin Grant. Somewhere came to Britain from Jamaica in the 1960s. No one seemed to know his real name. He was called Somewhere because of his predilection for wearing summer suits. Some wag, one of his fellow merchant seamen, gave him the nickname, and it stuck. Somewhere arrived at Southampton with very little luggage and only wearing a light tropical suit, just as autumn was sliding into winter. Apparently Somewhere had never owned a heavy coat, which would have been more appropriate for the snow which greeted him soon after his arrival. The tropical suit and the nickname gave him that elusive quality treasured by every West Indian migrant I ever met: style. You could take away the man's livelihood, turn him out of his home, and his belly could be knocking on his backbone, but you could never deny him his style. I was always drawn to the romance of the story of Somewhere's suit. There seemed so much charm and innocence to it, and to the man himself. Somewhere makes me think of the West Indians who descended from the last boat train of migrants from Southampton to Waterloo in May 1962. The suited man holding a coat hanger in Howard Gray's photo from that time is not Somewhere, but is a great stand-in for him, glamorous, languid, and carefree. He's dressed with a kind of distinction that would have met with the approval of Somewhere, my father, and his spars. A few years ago, when composing a book about the Windrush generation, I wanted to focus on those West Indian men and women who were part of the background of my childhood in Luton. Sitting down to write, I could recall Somewhere because of the familiarity of his name, along with other West Indians such as Tidy Boots, Anxious, and Pumpkinhead. But I could not picture him. One day I asked my mum, Ethelyn, whatever became of Somewhere? Without missing a beat, she answered, well, soon after coming to Britain, he caught a chill and died. Ethelyn said it straight, but the poignancy of the story has always remained with me, and perhaps accounts for my lasting affection for a man I hardly knew. Somewhere, it seems, would never have countenanced being seen wearing a heavy coat, although it might have been practical to do so. After all, he was called Somewhere. He had to live up to his name. His name and his tropical suit were talismans of migration. It was true of all those West Indians, including my father, whose nickname was Bag Eye, given to him because of his permanent bags under his eyes. Their nicknames defined them, set them apart, spoke to their individuality, and were a reminder of how they were perceived and how they perceived themselves back home in Jamaica. Even if, as was true of Bag Eye, they didn't like their nicknames, they clung to them as badges of honour. Ethelyn remembers that, for a while after Somewhere's death, his friends took to honouring him by wearing suits whenever they gathered, even if it was just to go to the West Indian pub, the Checkers, or to Mrs. Knight's all-weekend poker game. They had style in those days, says Ethelyn. She reminds me that back in the day, West Indian men didn't skimp on clothing. The Englishman would have 5 collars and 1 shirt, but a man like Somewhere, he would have 5 shirts. True dat. I suggest to my mum that surely that can't be true, that she's talking about the glamorous swinging 60s. Glamour? She kisses her teeth. There wasn't much glamour in England then. Somewhere, Tidy Boots, Anxious, all of them had style. You want to look for style or glamour now? You have to close your eyes and imagine it. I asked Ethelyn if she knows what became of Somewhere's suit. Last me see him, he's still there wearing it in him coffin. So he was buried in it. My mum fixes me with a long stare. Child, don't talk foolishness, Colin. The man buried in him suit, namas?